guy will go, Tom, red ball. Now he's going to catch it like it's a ball. He's not going to like this. You got to, it's called pantomiming. You pretend that you have the object, red ball. And it's going to, well, we'll start with red ball first, but I'll go like, Tom, red ball. He'll go, red ball, thank you. And you'll look to somebody else, say their name first. You know, Roger, red ball. Roger will then catch it. Red ball, thank you. And then you'll, and then say someone's name. Make sure, and they won't always be looking at you because we're going to throw in a few more objects too. So you'll say their name, red ball. And we'll start with red ball at first.
Okay. And the reason you have to say red ball, thank you, is because you need to acknowledge that you got it. And then it helps you know that you got it, and then it also helps you remember that you have a red ball, because you might end up with a green ball and a red ball.
And a blue ball.
And then you say the person's name, Liz, that they know what's coming. So I would say, whatever you get, thank you, and then Chiquita, and then you pass it along to the next person. We'll go slow.
Yeah, we'll start with just red ball.
All right. Oh, cool. Did you bring the red ball?
Oh.
Is it real?
Red ball.
Oh, thanks. So what you want to try and do is you want to try and listen for what's being said, and eventually it's going to sound ridiculous. It always does. Your job is to try and pick out the pearl of what we're saying and try and see if you can make a cohesive story out of something. It can be funny, it can be serious, it can be inane, it can be just whatever you want, and sometimes it's going to turn into just a series of words that make no sense.
We have to use those series of words to make the story?
Yeah, you're going to listen to everybody's word. Like, and you don't, and the reason to listen is you don't want like, one day I was downstairs, upstairs. You know, you don't want to throw in that word where it doesn't make sense. You have to listen to every word that someone's saying.
Okay.
Now, the thing you're going to want to try and do is, if I hear Liz, if the story's going this way, I hear Liz going, I'm going to go, oh, I know where this story's going. I can't wait for it to get to me. It gets to me because you have no idea what you're going to say, and it gets over here. It gets to me. All of a sudden, if I'm thinking about what you're going to say over there, by the time it gets to me, it's totally different because Tom said something that I wasn't thinking. I mean, how dare he? And then Roger, of course, was listening, so he screwed it up even more for me, you know? So by the time it gets to me, it's, you know, I'm going to have to try and, but if I stop listening at Liz and don't pay any attention, that's going to mess me up, and the story's going to go right down to twos really quick. So try and listen to where the story's going. If you can say a word that'll guide the story, fine, that's great. That's your job. Another listening exercise to try and get you to, number one, not have a preconceived thought about where the story's going, but to try and develop it as it happens. Because when we get up on stage, I don't know what he's going to say, and I can't be in my own head. I have to wait for him to say something before I know what I'm going to say.
One word.
One word at a time.
At least one word at a time.
Okay, does anybody want to volunteer a story that has never been written? Have to give something to the person next to you, and it's not necessarily going to tell a story, but what it's going to help you is to accept exactly what you get, and then turn around and use that and give that to somebody else. I'll start it off, and I'll give Joe a statement. He has to accept that statement, and he has to turn around to John, and he has to use what I gave him in some fashion and build on it. And then you have to take what, it's also like one-word story or one-line story, only it's taken it to like the next level where we're all accepting and then giving and building. So I'll start off by saying something to Joe, and he'll say yes, and he'll add something to it and build and then give it to John. John will say yes, and he'll add something to it, build it, and give it to Chiquita, and so on and so forth.
Do we have a story that we're going to write?
Well, the underlying purpose is always to try and build a story. Try and recognize the beginning, the middle, and the end. Because if you just talk, that's not entertaining for the audience. But, you know, I mean, this is improv 101. I mean, you know, you're just learning. We don't expect you guys, although we think you have that capability, to just come out and, you know, the heavens will open up and, the hand of God will come down and smoke Joe.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, but he knows.
He knows.
I
I had 3 dogs, and one of them bit me.
Yes, and I believe that was my dog because you pet him too hard.
He doesn't like being pet because it makes him nip. And that's why they call him Nipper.
Yes.
And, yes, and, that's why they call him Nipper.
Yes, and
Yes, and.
then you turn and you add to this, you build something.
Yes, and. He was mistreated when he was little.
Excellent. Yes.
That's the easy part.
Yeah.
That's why I say
Yes, and there's always
Yes,
something.
and they got him at the kennel. We got him at the kennel.
Good.
Yes, and by that time.